What's going on, everybody? We are live at Exhibitor Live 2023. This is Event Marketing Redefined. I have JD Gershbein here with me. And JD, you are a keynote speaker this year at Exhibitor Live, correct?
That's true.
Tell me why you're here, what you got going on, and what you're offering to this show, my man.
Well, the reason I'm here is because of relationships. And everything in business today, Matt, is about relationships.
Yeah.
It does become a who you know type of proposition. But I'm here to educate, inspire, and motivate trade show folks in the area of LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, for the most part, has been a very neglected aspect of many businesses. And I think it took a global health crisis like a pandemic to really force professionals to lean in and take more notice and do the farming before they do the hunting on their LinkedIn profiles.
Nice. Tell me, without giving away the sauce, without giving away your talk, because obviously you're going to do a keynote. I think you're at capacity or sold out, correct?
I'm close. That's what they tell me.
You got a crowd. I love it. Tell me a little bit about what you're going to be talking about. Lay it out for us a little bit.
You know, as a professional speaker, I've gone around and I've done various industry events. And what I try to do is tailor it as specifically as I can toward the industry. But this is unique. This is experience marketing and activations in real time. And LinkedIn can pace with anything that happens at a 3-day conference like this for people who are networking, who are building businesses, who are speaking with people in real time about their products and services. LinkedIn is a great way to measure this, pace with the people that they're meeting, the so-called leads that they're capturing. And it makes for a very crowded follow-up at the end of the event.
You know what I think is interesting about you having a conversation, a social conversation, a networking conversation, a LinkedIn conversation, is I think events are an absolute content creating machine, right? Tell me a little bit about that, like with events and LinkedIn and how people are creating content and like how they can use events to create content.
What we're doing right here.
Yeah.
We are creating content in real time here that people can access. But at the same time, the residual value of putting this out there, marketing it on a platform like LinkedIn, and continually bringing people to it, playing at the inbound game, that's what's going to refresh the content. You can always repurpose, and you can always add new clips, lead people to a full cut of something, but there's no shortage of ideas as to how to promote oneself on LinkedIn.
I think it's great when you're at an event to create content because you're showing people you're there, you're active. The thought leader idea, right? You're expressing your thoughts and opinions, and then you're repurposing, cutting it to then be able to use it on so many platforms, and it extends the life of the event, you know, afterwards of being there. Tell me a little bit, like what, say I am a junior LinkedIn person, right? I don't really have my LinkedIn together. What would be like one of the first, what's like the silver magic bullet you'd give me?
Matt, it all comes down to profile.
Yeah.
If your LinkedIn profile is not set up and portrays you in a way that you'd like to be portrayed and speaks clearly to your ideal client avatar, it's going to be a rough ride on LinkedIn. What I learned, and the more that I do this, and I'm now in my 17th year of LinkedIn specialty work as we sit here today, it keeps coming back to the profile. The more unique visitors you can attract to your page, the more clients who can refer people to your page and get an idea as to who you are and the value you create, the more meaningful conversations you will generate.
You know what that makes me think? It makes me, it's interesting. Like I think prior really the internet and social media, a resume was a huge thing. You'd have people who were resume writers, right? They would really doctor up your resume. It was the way you read it, the manner, what it looked like, everything. So in my brain, what you're telling me is like essentially LinkedIn profile is kind of like that to a degree now for professionals.
You know, a lot of folks compare the LinkedIn profile to the resume. I really don't, man. The resume is kind of still a barrier to entry for everybody to get new gigs, but there's a certification for resume writing. It's a different document. It's written in past tense, like Latin. Every bullet point starts with a past tense verb. The LinkedIn profile is a living, breathing, vibrating story with narrative, with a platform that can support visuals. And the more visual interest you bring out, the more that you're corresponding, the more you're curating an exhibit on yourself, the more interest you create. And the LinkedIn profile page is about creating interest in you.
Nice. It's interesting. What are you hoping to get out of being here? I mean, it is you're a keynote, you're speaking, but you're an attendee as a keynote as well, right? So What are you hoping to gain from this conference?
Well, they call me a super connector, and
Yep.
you can't connect people until you meet people.
Agreed.
And I'm looking to meet people. I don't know what each walk of the floor will bring. I'm highly improvisational in everything I do, so I'm just looking to meet good folks, see what they're up to. Obviously, I can discuss LinkedIn with them if they're willing to go in that direction conversationally. I'm here to see what they offer, but I'm also here to get an idea today, the day before I speak, as we're taping,
Yeah.
how these people tick and what I can do literally extemporaneously in front of them at my talk tomorrow morning that inspires them. If there are people who are green, there are people who are a little bit more advanced on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and there are people who are super users. I don't know this coming in, but if I can get anyone 1% better, because we all subscribe to the law of incremental gains, if I can get one person 1% better, I'd like to think that was a successful talk. But I'm really looking to help other folks move the needle as much as possible because LinkedIn is set up to help everybody here.
Yeah. Did you say super users?
Power users,
I love super users. I think that's
power
great.
users, yeah, the so-called people who are seamlessly on LinkedIn. It's part of their vibe. It's part of their business. They're on it all the time.
You seen any examples you think of people, maybe you can reference for us that are really using LinkedIn really well to their advantage? Any examples maybe you could give us or
I've tailored my practice, Matt, to support people who are betting on themselves to win. And sometimes when you're sitting on Cubicle Row at a corporation, it might be difficult. You might use LinkedIn to maybe look for greener pastures. You're waiting for recruiters to contact you. I'm not really in that space. My space, my sweet spot is working with people who believe in the importance of personal branding. They believe in the transformational power of LinkedIn. It hasn't been shown to them yet. I'm looking to show that to them in my talk and here in the 3 days that we're together. And really to just give them a LinkedIn mind shift. I'm all about mindset shifting and to come in with a growth mindset, an opportunity mindset, a collaborative mindset. Because if people are out there talking about building relationships, they better be on LinkedIn cementing the relationships.
I like that. With the personal branding, right? With that area, what kind of recommendations do you have for people with content? Because obviously LinkedIn is a content space. You're putting content out. What kind of content recommendations do you have for people?
It's a war out there, Matt.
Yeah.
It's tough to cut through the clutter, rise above the noise, stand out in a crowded sea of sameness.
Yes, sir.
All of those cliches. And the war is one with content, but it's one with original content. And it's one with a drive to produce and distribute this content every day on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Not paying attention to the vanity metrics, but just knowing that it's out there. And then again, playing the inbound game and bringing people to the content.
Vanity metrics. Tell me about that.
Vanity metrics. Boy, I hope I get the likes. I hope I get the comments. I hope I get the reposts.
No.
People are so hung up on who's liking and who's commenting and who's sharing that they lose track of the fact that they're out there building a brand, building an identity, building a reputation, building a persona, and most importantly, showing themselves in a particular way to the professionals with whom they're connected on the site, their style. LinkedIn style, which is what I talk about most often now.
What about engaging in other content, right? Like as somebody going into content that maybe you view, but engaging in the comments, sparking conversation, giving your insight. What kind of value does that drive for somebody?
Well, on LinkedIn, you have to give to get. And there are a lot of people that are really focused on the algorithm right now. I don't specifically write for the algorithm. Because again, I play the inbound game.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be out there producing content, LinkedIn says you have to be out there engaging on content. So that's become a best practice. If you're going to go out there as an author and build authority, you have to engage on the posts of others to show LinkedIn that you're building equity into the platform, that you're really out there to drive your ideas, your intellectual properties, but also you're there to support your fellow users.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a big piece. That's something that you and I talked a little bit about off this, right? Where I was saying how like, I don't want to just be popping in people's stuff and being like, look what I think, you know what I mean? Because but
you mean great post, Matt?
Yeah, great. Yeah, great post.
Thanks for sharing, Matt.
Looks great. No, but it's like, you do have to find a way to intelligently challenge other people's thoughts, add to people's thoughts, maybe show a different perspective that wasn't in that post.
Have a discussion.
Yeah, and I think what caught me was I saw comments that I was like, oh, that's great. like, oh, that really adds to this.
Yeah.
And then I'm curious about that person. You know what I mean? Which kind of makes that, I don't want to call it a tactic, but I think authentic use of the platform good.
I call it digital charisma and creating intrigue. And
Nice.
when you're out there putting a lot of thought and time and effort into your comments, because comments are a great opportunity to build a brand, to activate a brand. People start to see you. You start to sidle up to them. You're in the vicinity, and it makes for a more warm approach. And if you're going to connect with these people through their content, as an author, I love it when folks not just say great post, JD, but they really let me know that they've read what I'm putting out there, and that's most often and best done in the direct messaging platform.
Where do you see the future of LinkedIn? Where do you see progress, change? What do you see happening?
Well, I'm a frontiersman, Matt. I go out there like a pioneer every day because I don't know what's coming up next. And you can be a very avid insider and absorb everything that LinkedIn throws at you on a daily basis, but there's still so much beyond that we don't know, we haven't come across yet. All of this is in beta. On May 5th, 2023, LinkedIn will celebrate its 20th anniversary.
Crazy.
The thing is still in beta. Who
crazy.
knows what the next generation is going to bring to this? So you've got baby boomers who are kind of remaining viable, staying in the game.
Yeah.
You've got the Gen Xers coming in who are now owning Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
You've got the millennials starting to shed some of that younger vibe and get serious about business. And then you've got the Gen Zs, and who knows who comes next. So we're on this very incredible trail of LinkedIn really holding up the mirror to the business world. And I believe that's where the future is sound. Where business goes, LinkedIn is sure to follow. And maybe LinkedIn's the platform setting the trends.
Is there any changes you'd like to see? Anything maybe you'd like to see more on LinkedIn?
You know, I think LinkedIn kind of missed the boat a little bit on audio events.
Events.
Clubhouse beat LinkedIn to the audio event platform. LinkedIn is kind of a nice runner-up. They're doing audio events. Native video has come on strong. I believe that we're going to see LinkedIn become a very viable video conferencing platform, the ability to convene on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's philosophy, their mindset is to keep people on their platform as long as possible. And whatever vehicles they have, whatever portals they bring, that's what we're going to see. And obviously, everything LinkedIn is doing right now, Matt, is set up to help content creators and community builders. And as we know, the two areas, content and community, are, pun intended, linked.
Yes, I like that. The community aspect is interesting to me, right? Because communities, the idea of communities, vastly growing, quickly growing. They need places to exist, and kind of tying back to events, communities, I think to an extent will be leading events because it's an easy way to leverage community into an event.
Community is seen as the next wave in professional development. And if you're not into it, or if you're not watching it from the periphery, looking to get involved, the time is right, because I think that's where we're at. We move from this static, schematic configuration of a network to a community, which is a living, breathing entity. And then from our community, obviously there's micro communities, but we find our audience. And through our audience, we find our tribe. And those are the people that we really move forward with in business on an immersive level. The people who support us, the people who have our backs, our evangelists, our advocates, and the people who will share our content.
I like that. JD, what is one of my closing questions? I love asking people this because I think being reflective is cool. And what is advice to your younger self?
Advice to my younger self?
Yes, sir.
Boy, there's a lot to unpack there. I would say...
I'm not going to be your psychologist, JD, but I would like to hear it.
Well, as a mid-stage early adopter of LinkedIn, I couldn't go back and say to my younger self, get into LinkedIn, because I got into it pretty early and a lot had to happen. But what I would tell my younger self is study the platform as hard as you did, but also anticipate. Go out there and anticipate and think 2 steps ahead. I have an improv background. I'm not as structured and regimented as I used to be, but I would just tell my younger self, just keep your eye on this. Don't let your foot off the gas, and and really go out there as a support system for people and not just someone trying to sell a product or service.
It's good advice, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sitting with me. Thanks for keynoting. Thanks for being a part of our industry now.
Thanks for having me. All the best to you and
Thanks,
your
man.
team at the show.
Appreciate it.